All right, awesome. Yeah, today's class is all about title and title work and title commitments and preliminary title commitments and what is owner's extended coverage. There's a lot of things that you guys went through in schooling and did, and it can be overwhelming. There's two people on here I know who have done a deal, and I think you guys both have just done one deal. Diana, Melissa, will you share your experience about how maybe or maybe not for Melissa, how overwhelming the title process was and kind of how it all just, you got to closing and I know for me, when I got to closing at my first time, I was like, I don't even know what happened, but I'm glad we're here. Is that the way any of you guys felt?
No, not really.
Yeah, you had the insider scoop in your other job for sure.
Yeah, so it was kind of a little bit easier for me.
Yeah. Diana?
I knew nothing about title. Thankfully, I was on the buyer side and they picked the title people. And then I had a great lender who just talked me through everything. And then I call Bruce all the time. I'm like, what do I do with this title record thing? So I don't know. I didn't know anything.
Yeah. So before Kyle gets here to kind of talk exactly. So if you guys start to understand me and how everything works, I know a lot about a lot, but we're not experts in the inspection world, in the title world, in the appraisal world. We can know everything there is to know about it, but there's a reason why they're the professional in that. I really want to take a second to really reiterate, do not share with somebody your expertise on a topic that you're not licensed or in that profession to do, no matter how much you think you know. So same thing with like lenders, same thing with inspectors. Like I know when I walk into a house with foundation issues, if it has foundation issues. I can't say for 100% certainty that has foundation issues because I'm not that expert. I'm not that person on it. You see how that can work? So that's why I appreciate Kyle coming in and helping me out with this today, because I do know a lot about it, but you guys got to hear it from the horse's mouth.
I'm the horse.
That's perfect.
Brother.
Good. So yeah, I can tell you guys that when you grab a contract, when you guys have something, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to send it to your closer. And you guys, these guys will run it from there. That's why they're professionals in that industry. And that's why I want, and you guys, my script for my buyers is, look, you guys have any questions on the preliminary title commitment or the title commitment? Kyle's going to tell you about that here soon. If we have questions on it, even if I know how to answer it, if it's very vague, you may see me answer something, but even if I'm pretty sure, I always pick up the phone and call. That's why there's a phone number on there. That's why they're the professionals in that industry. And the last thing you guys want to do is get caught up explaining something that may or may not be right, comes down the court of law. He said, she said, you're not in that profession. You're at fault. And I said, and again, like I said, be careful. There's literally an agent that was with our office who got in trouble for stating something factual that she saw on public records. Do you know why she was fined? Because she should know as an industry professional that public records is not 100% of the time accurate. So she was at fault for stating something that she saw because that's not her expertise. So Kyle Snyder, everybody, First American.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, Ed. By the way, that's solid advice. And we'll break that down a little bit so that it gets you pointed in the right direction. So let's, first things first, I'm Kyle Snyder with First American Title. I'm the sales rep. My job is to seek out and find agents like you, get them to use my title company instead of the inferior competition. You understand that. It's what's I do my job a little differently than most. Don't tell my boss this, but I'm really a bad salesman because I don't sell anything. I'm a relationship guy. I feel that I'm part of your team. I know Bruce has embraced that. Damien, a lot Wise team, the Nelson team. I mean, there are a lot of people at Keller Williams, even up in Loveland and Fort Collins offices, who use us because we're not just a title rep or somebody with our hand out looking for business. We're here to help you build your business in every way we can. I mean, I do stuff from constructive criticism on new agent letters that go out. You know, you write the letter, send it to me, I'll edit it, we'll have some fun together and figure it out. You know, to think about marketing plans, budgeting, all these things that you're going through, I've seen it 1,000 times. And people find me a pretty good resource because I used to be the director of communications for the Colorado Golf Association. So marketing, sponsorship, those kinds of things is my background. K Snyder, KSNYDER at firstam.com is my email address. So I'm also the stats guy. So I put out a stats piece once a month. It just went out the other day. If you're not getting it, just send me an email and I'll put you on the list. So that's kind of my thing is about the stats, but
No, that's powerful. Send him an email on this. Kyle at
K Snyder
K Snyder
at firstam at firstam.com. So I was also a real estate appraiser and grew up building houses. I know what it takes. A lot of agents will call me and ask me to help them value a home. You know, lot and block in town, cookie cutter stuff, not so hard. But once you get outside of town and you got some weird stuff, large acreage, remodeled old homes, stuff like that, it gets harder and harder. So I'm a good resource for that too. So that's how I earn my business, is helping you build yours. And I hope that we can all have that relationship. So new agents, first thing, after I get done telling them all about title, which is really not all that interesting, they always ask, well, how do I hire you? Or how do I engage your services? And that's really what Bruce was going there at the end. And we'll just talk about that and we'll kind of bounce around. But please feel free to ask any questions. I can talk all day. Sorry. So you as the listing agent on a home, when you talk to your sellers, you want to ask them, what title company do you want to use? Most sellers don't have an opinion on that because they don't even remember the title company they used when they bought the house, and they don't have a relationship. There's advice out there that says you should write a list of 3 title companies and give it to them. If you do that and they call title companies, they will base their decision on price only. And it's kind of human nature. It's a bad way to make a decision for a title company. I've seen that price come back and double and triple and screw them over backwards by delays in closing and moving costs and everything else. So I've found, and I've run this by Marcia Waters, the head of Dora, and said, well, instead of that, wouldn't it be better if the real estate agent was a little more proactive in this? And she agreed, if it comes from you like this, and it kind of goes back to the how expert are you? You say to them, well, I use First American Title because I have a good relationship with the sales rep and the closer. And I've had a good history, and I know a lot of people have good history using them. There's lots of other title companies out there. Feel free to research the ones that you want to and let me know, but I have a good relationship here. And then let the seller say, that's fine, we'll use your choice. Now, that has become their choice of title companies. They took your advice. You didn't say, I only use First American. You don't want to say that because you don't want to be pushing them into a decision. You want to be guiding them with your professional advice. So once it becomes their decision, okay, now we're your title company. We don't need any information from you until you have a contract. Once you have a signed contract, you email that to your closer or to me, and I'll send it to the closer. And that engages our services. We then open up a title report. We start doing the research, And in a few days, you're going to have a title commitment.
What do you say in that email?
What's that?
What do you say in that email?
You say, hey, I got my house under contract, my listing, it's under contract. I need a closer. Who's my closer? And I can introduce you to the closer beforehand, or I can do an introduction over email. And I'm going to send you a nice email back that congratulates you and say, hey, great job. Here's Jennifer or Mark or Eddie, or I'm going to give you a closer and try to fit personalities together. But don't get confused in some terminology. Bruce used same term or two terms that mean the same thing. A preliminary title commitment or a title commitment. They're all the same. We don't call them any different. We just give you a title commitment. Now here's how that looks. A title commitment is a commitment from us to your seller to provide title insurance given a list of circumstances being fulfilled. And this is what I like to just give to newer agents as a title lesson, because if you don't have a deal under contract, you don't have a good frame of reference from this stuff. But trust me, I've been doing this for 15 years now. This works. And then once you have a deal, we'll have a better ability to have a deeper discussion about this. There's 3 sections to a title commitment. 4 if you include all the disclaimers. Read it once, don't ever read it again. Don't do it while you're driving. But those disclaimers, it looks like there's nothing being insured. It looks like nobody has any liability. It's just a bunch of legalese. It works. It's been in process for hundreds of years. The 3 real sections to the title commitment is 1, Schedule A, which is the information page. It's got the names of buyers, sellers, price, address, legal description, date, all kinds of information that says what the deal is. Read that. Read that every time. And if you find any mistake on there, sometimes there's misspelled names, the price is wrong, what have you. That's the one thing you want to read when you get it. And if there's anything wrong on that, you let us know right away and we can fix it. Lenders rely on this. A lot of people rely on this title commitment in the transaction. So we want to make sure that the parties and the information are all correct. That's not hard. The next section is Schedule B, and those are the requirements. It's a list of our driving instructions, really, that need to be, they're required to be done in order to close. Most of the, read through that once too, you'll be amazed because you don't know what it says. Even after you read it, you won't know what it says. It says something like release of a deed of trust from this person to this county in the amount of this under reception number that. And you say, well, how do I do that? Well, you don't. We do. But read through it, and if you come up with something that says release of a mechanic's lien, release of a lien of some sort that's not a deed of trust, or IRS lien, those kinds of things, those are things that you and the seller and us are going to have to work together on to solve. But all the rest of that stuff is for us to do. The third part is really more towards this for the buyer. The seller doesn't care per se what's on the exceptions piece, because what we're saying is in a title commitment. Remember that bundle of rights you were taught about in real estate school? And everybody's like, I kind of get it. The bundle of rights is every right possible that could belong to a piece of land. One of those rights is the right to paint your house pink, right? Everybody wants to do that. If you live in an HOA, I guarantee you do not have the right to paint your house pink. So that's an example of a right you don't have. Another one is you don't have a right to dig up the easement in the front of the property where the water and sewer system goes. There's several rights that you don't have, and they're enumerated in the exceptions. So a title commitment is we commit to ensure all the rights to this property are going to be transferred from the seller to the buyer, except for those that are in the exceptions. Got it? Here's where I'm gonna make it easy for you. Get your title commitment, read it, then call your closer and say, hey, I'm a new agent at Keller Williams. You're going to be my closer because Kyle said that, and he gave me your information. I just got this title commitment. I just read it. I have no idea what it says. The closer will then look at the title commitment, and this is what they do. So I'm not talking out of school or anything here. They're going to look at the title commitment, and they're going to tell you if there's anything to be concerned with. They're going to say, well, this looks like it's going to be hard. Oh, we have a mechanics lien that we're going to have to solve. They're going to tell you that, or they're going to say, looks pretty clean. There's nothing here to worry about. We'll just move along and we'll be in touch with your seller. At that point, you tell your seller, hey, I just got the title commitment. You should have received one as well. I just read through it and I called my closer. And my closer says, you don't say I say, you say my closer says, it looks pretty clean. Nothing to worry about. We're good to go on that. Something along those lines. If they have questions, you just say, that's a little bit out of my expertise. I'm gonna let you talk to my closer. Or me, you can have them call me. I can explain a lot of the simple stuff. But you can have them call us. This is what we do. We make people feel comfortable about the real estate transaction. So then what you're not doing is saying, well, hey, everything looks fine on the title commitment. You're not saying that. You're saying my closer says everything looks fine.
Yeah, my script for that is exactly that. Hey, everything looks okay according to what I can see. I'm no expert in it. If you want, I can give the closer a call to see if they see anything.
Mm-hmm.
I hang up the phone and I say, hey, look, the closer doesn't see much. However, this is someone that you are engaging with and hiring. So I would appreciate it if you do have any follow-up questions whatsoever. You do know that you have the opportunity and right to call this number right here. Usually that's in a form of a text or an email, just so I have blatant proof that I gave them every opportunity to call and ask those questions. You know who you're working with. The people that you're working with, you'll start to pick up.
But for the we want to minimize liability, and that's why we're telling you to approach things this way. Probably not many people get stuck in something like this. It happens once in a blue moon. Title commitments are not typically a reason that deals cancel. It's usually for something else, because there's a lot of things that we'll talk about the title commitment, and some of those things that look like they're very onerous, of some right that you don't have. All the neighbors have basically the same exact title commitment. So everyone else is living under the same conditions as your buyer is going to be buying. So in most cases, there's nothing out of the ordinary. So
I always remind you're really good at finding somebody at the house, connecting the buyer or the seller, doing the contracts. You let somebody like them do the title work and answer those kind of questions. Bruce said it just perfect.
Yeah, I'm remodeling a house right now, and I told you I grew up in the construction business. I can paint, I can swing a hammer, I can drywall, I can do plumbing.
Don't ask them to do any concrete.
I can do all those things, but I'm not. I'm letting the experts do the job so that it gets done right. And, that's what you're saying, right? Yeah. Leave it to the experts. You do your job, we'll do ours. And then, our goal is to end up walking out of closing with your buyers, your sellers happy. If they're happy, if those people in the transaction, if we focused on them the entire time, if they're happy at the end of this, guess what? You're getting paid, the lender's getting paid, I'm getting paid, we're all getting paid, we're all happy, and now we have a group of people who are going to refer us again in the future. See, I'm really dialed into this Keller Williams stuff. Referrals. Next very important piece. You sent us the contract. We got the title commitment going. There will be amends to the contract. I don't know how many. I've seen, 10 amend extends done. you're going to have a lot of them done. We need a copy of every single one of those. I don't care if you think it's the other agent's responsibility to send an amend extend in, send it to us. I would rather have 3, 4, 5 copies of the same amend extend than to have none. You have any idea how it'll screw up a closing if we don't have the right purchase price on a house because we didn't get an amend at closing? That has happened way more than one time. It's not fun. So take it upon yourself. Send every amend extend to a closer in every deal you're doing. I don't care if you're on the buy side or the sell side. What questions do you guys have?
What is OEC?
Oh, you see, you had to ask me hard questions. That's not fair. I wasn't prepared. So you have 3 costs really in title. One is the title insurance piece. And I'll quote those for you, and it depends on the price of the house. So the more expensive the house, more expensive the title insurance. The second piece is the closing fee. First American, we have 2 different closing fees. One in Northern Colorado for Larimer and Weld, that's $340, and everywhere else is $360. That fee is typically split 50-50 between buyer and seller. The seller typically pays the owner's or the title insurance. There's another piece called OEC, and it's another checkbox on the contract. That's an additional $75, and it gives you 5 things in addition to the coverage that you get in the title insurance. I'll see if I can remember. This is
I
what
don't know.
it gives you: survey coverage. So make sure, and it's the same as if you had a lot and block. So it gives you coverage of the boundaries. It gives you coverage that your title, so like if you bought a house for $500,000, it increases the amount of coverage 10% a year for the first 5 years. So
I didn't know.
at the end of 5 years, you have, I don't know what that number is. Somebody else can figure it out. It gives you access. No. It gives you gap coverage. Gap coverage is the time between when you sign and when it's recorded. If there were a lien or something that popped up in that time period, we would cover it. The seller or buyer would not be responsible. We would. So that's 3 of the 5 things. Told you. I don't talk about OEC that much. It's basically if you're going to get a loan, your lender probably won't let you have the loan without OEC. It's that important. It is the checkbox on the contract will, you can choose who pays for that, either the buyer or the seller. And they put that on there a few years ago because the fact of it, just like the increase in coverage, the buyer's the one that benefits more than the seller in this. In title insurance, I guess you don't know this, okay? Title insurance insures the past. It's the only kind of insurance that insures the past. Life insurance, car insurance, homeowners insurance, those all cover events in the future. Title insurance ensures that the seller is completely removed, all liens paid off, and when they sell the house, and the buyer is now the only one entitled to the rights of that house. Where that can hit a bump in the road is if grandpa died in the house and his daughter sells the house and takes all the money. Well, if grandpa intended to will that house to his daughter and his estranged son somewhere in California, if that son came back and said, hey, where's my half of the profits? The title company would be the one that would have to make this right, because we're the ones that approved the daughter to sell it. We didn't look close enough at who the ownership was and who the rights go to. So we ensure the ownership of this, not just from the seller, but all the way back through history to patent, which is when the piece of property was created, which around here was back in the 1880s. And a lot of those deeds have the signature of Grover Cleveland on them. Stuff you don't want to know. I'm sorry. I know too much crap. That's generally what it does. It's not an exciting part of the transaction to know about that part. And it's viewed as a commodity and or a necessary evil by a lot of consumers. And you will find that it's not. More transactions you do, there are title companies out there that are not worth the money you pay them. There are ones that are, very good. There's a top tier of title companies around here, and you'll know about it by their reputation in the community, by people you work with, and not every company is right for every person. So you have to find a closer or a title guy, a title rep, or somebody who you connect with, and because what you want to do is you want to send every deal to that same person. Who lives in Loveland here? Hands? Anyone? Okay. So Erica, sorry, I couldn't read it. Erica, if you have a listing in Fort Collins, one in Loveland and one in Longmont, for instance, and congratulations on your 3 listings. That's awesome. If you had those 3 listings, it would be difficult for you if you would send a contract to our Fort Collins office, our Loveland office, and our Longmont office, because then you need to know 3 phone numbers, 3 email addresses, 3 personalities, and it just gets confusing after a while. If you had Angie Mallory as your closer in our Loveland office, and she's awesome, you send everything to her, and then when it comes time to close your deal in Fort Collins, we'll send it up to our Fort Collins office. Angie will drive there and do the closing if she can. If not, somebody in our Fort Collins office will do it. And somebody in our Longmont office will do the other one. That way you're only working with one person. And I promise you, it's less brain damage to pick a closer and stick with one closer. There are some people out there who every deal that they have, they spin it around to a different title company. And I would never suggest you do that. But they say, well, I'm just trying to make all my friends happy. I disagree with that as an approach and business approach. This is your business. You're not in it to make me happy or any other title guy. It's your business. You need to do it the way you want to. That's makes you the most efficient. And if you want to spread around every title company, you're just making your life more difficult. So I always, if I find out a client of mine is splitting their business, I encourage them to just take it to the other company. Just take it to one company, because I know they're trying to make me happy, and I don't need that. I need them to be efficient at their business. So don't tell my boss I said that. She wouldn't appreciate me inviting people to go to a competitor.
But he's spot on there. Anywhere, it doesn't matter where the listing is. I have my closer. It's right there in Longmont. Doesn't matter the city, the town, as long as it's in Colorado for me, as far as the license piece goes. So feel free to do so. And like Kyle said, that was one of the biggest things that I couldn't figure out in my head was my closer's in Longmont, but I need to set up closing for Arvada. Does everybody have to come up to Longmont? No, if the closer can't go all the way down there, they have mobile notaries. They have different people that will suffice, and that office is welcomes you with open arms, just like it would be your primary location office, if you will.
And we have a lot of split closings anymore. It used to be, well, all of them are split now. We have buyers come in at a different time than seller, but it used to be we would have 2 buyers, 2 sellers, 2 agents, and a lender and a closer in a room. I mean, it was a party. It was a lot of fun. It's always good to have that closure with buyers and sellers together. We can't do that now. COVID rules say, we need to have as few people in the room as possible. So we have authorized signers and the agent. That's all we want in a room right now. That's 4 people, 2 buyers, their agent, and the closer. 2 sellers, their agent and closer. It keeps fewer people in the room and makes more people more comfortable. So if we're doing that, if you had a seller in Loveland and a buyer in Fort Collins, splitting those up is no big deal. And to do that, you run that all through your closer. You don't call our Fort Collins office and say, hey, I need to schedule a closing. You talk to Angie Mallory, and you tell her that you need to schedule a buy side up in Fort Collins, and she'll set it up for you. Lickety split. What other hard questions do you have for me?
Hard? I didn't think it was
Yeah, I
hard.
know. It's basic stuff. I never talk about
No, I mean, I want to make sure we connect another dot here, because so we have these contracts and we're able to fill them out and we're able to leave things blank. And then at times we're going to tell you can't leave them blank. So just what he said there is a good point. If you're working with a buyer, or if you're working with a transaction and there is a lender involved, I don't know of any lending institution, unless it's private money, that allows you not to have OEC attached to the contract. So even though it's an option in the contract, it becomes not an option if you have a lender tied to the deal. So there's probably about 5 or 6 things in our contracts that are very similar to that you're gonna go, well, why? Like what? Like why? Sometimes just the chain of command trumps all, but OEC definitely needs to be in there. I've only ever got rid of it one time on a cash deal.
cash deal. Yep. So there's back to the beginning of what we're talking about, how the seller selects the title company. If you're an agent who uses, I don't know, ABC mom and pop title, maybe it's your uncle's title company, and you're representing the buyer, and you're like, gosh, I've never heard of this title company before. And you call me and you say, hey, Kyle, have you ever heard of this title company? I'm in the business. And if I haven't heard of them, really, I don't know if I'd want my client to wire them $400,000, because I've seen title companies close down middle of the night and steal all kinds of funds that belong to buyers and sellers and lenders, pay off money. The biggest example was a few years ago. It's called American Title Services. The owner of I just find this crazy. So the owner of the title company was found in his garage, dead from 8 nail gun nails. I mean, it'd be hard to nail yourself with a nail gun, but 8 times. I think it was a mafia hit. That's because he stole $25 million from his company. That was end of the month. There was a lot of money, payoff money that needed to go to the payoff lenders. It had money that was supposed to come in for buy sides, and he emptied out some portion of a 401k account. So what happens in that case? I mean, he doesn't have insurance that's going to pay your client their money back. That money was gone. There were hundreds of people who lost a lot of money. And it just, if it's not sitting somewhere where the feds can get it and get it back to the people that it's owed to, it's gone. And that's just one of maybe 5 examples I could give you. First American Title is a publicly traded company. We're a Fortune 500 company. The financial security of our company is beyond reproach. Apparently the biggest problem we have right now is that we saved too much reserves back in the downturn of the economy, and we didn't start taking less, so we have too much money in the bank. That's an actual problem, said from our CFO. So we've bought a couple of companies recently, and it's pretty cool because we can grow what we do.
Bingo. And I think Kyle and I have been working together for a long time. I mean, I was a buyer's agent and Kyle poured into me like I was a listing agent.
He was so green when he came out here. Oh my God.
See,
it was so
I told
funny.
you guys, I was right there.
Findlay, Ohio. He looked like he was from Findlay, Ohio. He knew nothing. All he could say was Menards.
Yeah.
That's the name of the place, a hardware store back there that he managed. But I mean, green, eyes wide open. What does that mean? So for as smart as he is, the learning curve is the same for everybody. it's going to be very steep your first two. I mean, I've had agents come to me and say, hey, I'm too embarrassed to bring this to my managing broker. Whose name do I put here under name? And they're representing the buyer. You know, I'm like, that's when you're sitting there in front of your first contract and your knees are shaking because you're nervous. Those things that seem to make sense aren't going to make sense at that time. That's why you have a group here. But stick with it, and the second one gets a little easier. I used to think that it would be about 5 deals and you kind of had it, kind of figured it out. I don't think it's that few anymore. It's more like 10, just because there's so many things, so many moving parts now.
Especially if your first 5 deals are all the similar, very similar types.
Mhm.
You can go 5 deals straight and not have any contingent properties to sell. You can go 5 deals straight and never have a septic tank issue, or a septic tank for that matter.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's all about the experience. But what I was going to get at is when you're working with, or when you're on the buy side and you see XYZ title company and you're not too sure about it, you look it up, you can't find any reputable source, you talk to your title rep, you guys have the legal and absolute right in the contract, section 4.2, earnest money recipient, to type in who you want. It's up to the selling agent to call you out on it. And Kyle and I have been successful in the past, and we've also been shot down plenty of times because that's how I also know there's a good agent on the other side. But what happens is you say, hey, seller, look, you guys have the choice to choose this title company, but a buyer can bring an offer with another title company in section 4.2. And by the seller signing that contract or a counter proposal with it, as long as they don't amend that, they are agreeing to that title company. They're literally selecting that title company at the time of contract. So even in the section, what is it?
8.1.1.
Yeah, even if that's selected, seller selects title company, but buyer's agent or buyer put in a different title company than what we advertised in the MLS, the seller signs that contract and they have just chosen that title company.
There's a couple ways to skin that cat, but definitely you always want to mark that box that seller chooses and seller pays. Just mark it. And if you put down in the title company, First American Title, and they sign it, done. Or you could put in additional provisions, and this is a little odd because you're representing the buyer, put in there seller chooses First American Title. And they sign it, does the same thing. The seller signed a document that says that they chose First American Title, and they have a box that they signed, or they signed that they checked the box seller chooses, seller pays. So they do the same thing. And those are 2 right ways to do it. There's not one that's better.
What kind of questions you guys have?
Come on, something hard.
Ann always has questions.
And
Muted. My brain is fried. Sorry. I've kind of had a long day and it's only 1 o'clock.
nice.
I do have tons of questions, but I don't know what I don't know. And honestly, I am 100% clueless. But I would, if I could, if you ever wanted to meet for coffee, and it's because I was on another call, so I jumped on late, so I missed a lot. Because I honestly don't know what I don't know. I'm obsessed with titles and deeds and all the rules and regulations, but in terms of the real life is a little bit trickier.
And I would absolutely positively love to meet for coffee or lunch with every single one of you. I love being in front of people. I love talking about this stuff. It's a little easier to ask questions than in this kind of format. You don't know if it's important enough, and we can just have that discussion. And then I've been around Keller Williams long enough that I know what you're getting taught, getting told, getting instructed on, and we can talk about that in real life scenarios. I've just been around it for so long that there's a few things in there too that I like to share with new agents. And I got one thing I want to share. This is the thing I like to scare agents with. Is it okay if I scare them?
Scam.
So there's a fact that after 2 years of getting their license, only 2 in 27 agents still have their license. license.
Mhm.
That is a 93% failure rate. People don't fail. They just don't plan. They don't do it right. It's not that hard. Has Bruce talked to you about a database yet?
Oh yeah, we are shoved our database daily.
I was about to say, somebody better speak up here.
First thing we're taught.
I promise you,
Adding you to mine.
the number one thing that agents don't do is create that database. And I guarantee you there is no successful agent in this town, nobody that I have met in 15 years as a title rep that's a successful agent who does not have a database. Not one. You don't create that database, you are gonna be one of the 93%. I promise you, that is simple and easy to do. To fail. It's harder to actually go down and create a database. And database, that word is, a lot of people have different impressions of what that is. You know, it's some complicated, expensive piece of software. It can be as simple as the contacts list in your Gmail. You can group those into real estate contacts. You can collect information from the people you know, love, and trust. You can get their birthday, their dog's name, their anniversary, the color of their house, their mom's health. And the next time you talk to them, you can update that information more. You can get their email address, their cell phone number. You can contact them. You can have all of this information. And that is your gold mine for the future.
Mhm. Yeah, we have a beautiful CRM, a proprietary CRM called Command, which is great. Yeah,
Very well.
yeah,
It is
you know it well.
badass.
Mhm.
I started with an Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah.
But see but that's the thing. That's what Kyle's trying to say is we want to stress the sphere, but you
Yeah.
don't have to stress out about the sphere. It's all about taking action around the sphere. Call them, touch base with them, build relationships. That's what I had mine on an Excel spreadsheet.
Well, and I do think that causes panic. Command is very sophisticated, like Salesforce is, and it makes you feel like if you didn't do a new smart plan, if you didn't do another nurture, if you didn't do this, and I'm a very action, and I'm very like, just goddamn do it. And I can't work off templates. They give me anxiety, and I'm learning that about myself. Just send them an email with their CMA and see when they want to get together and chat. Because I'll be frozen by all of the templates.
Every time I make a list of things to do, I don't call it things to do, I call it shit to do, because it's just everything. I mean, it's in my personal life and my professional life. And at the top, every time I pull out a new sheet, I put on the top of that sheet, take action now. So I put my eyes on that sheet. When I come up, I'm doing something. It may take me 3 days to do it, but I'm going to do that thing. That is now a priority. I pick
like
off that list and I get it done. And, adding to your database, it's like, look at it. Who do you have that you don't have? You might have everybody's cell phone number, but you don't have their email address. I see that there's a few younger people here, not a gray beard like me, but, having your friends' email addresses, even if they aren't emailers, is still an important step in being able to contact them throughout the life of this. You're gonna need it at some point if they go under contract with something. So get it. Just fill that. It gives you a reason to call somebody. Hey, I'm just looking at my database here. First of all, how's grandma? Is she doing okay? Because, last time we talked, she wasn't. You have that in your database. You know that about grandma. And then you're like, look, I'm going to need to email you some stuff eventually. I'd like to send you some stats or, a gift certificate, whatever. I don't have your email address. I can't believe it. We've known each other for 12 years. I can't believe I don't have your email address. You see how easy this is? It's just talking.
Most of my friends, I don't have their email addresses because I'm a texter.
Text them.
And I DM them. I do not have the majority of my close friends. I'm not from here, but I don't have their emails.
It's a good reason to contact them, just to fill out your database. And you know what? Even if you're not actually coming up with a lead out of that, what this does is it gets you on the phone or over messaging of somehow talking about the business. You talk, that's what Scripps is all about. The more you talk about the business, the more you're engaged with it up here, the more you're ready to answer that goofball question that somebody asked you, the more you're developing your repertoire in real estate.
This is where Harry chimes in here. Mind share is market share, right, Harry?
Yep. Mind share, market share.
Right? And I don't know what it is, but the more you do that, and the real estate gods bless those who actually participate in this business. If you're going to be a part-timer, so be it. Part-time, but do it, while you're at your other job or what have you, be engaged somehow. There's a former agent from Keller Williams. We were having lunch for her birthday one time. And she tells me, she goes, I'm not going to call people in my database. I'm not going to do it. There's no way I'm going to pick up the phone and call those people. I don't want to do it. I said, great. How do you want to help? How do you want to build that database? How do you want to expand it? How do you want to mine people? I said, you know what? I know you've got kids in grade school. I go, when you, at the end of the school day, do you go to the circle, get out of your car and go stand by the flagpole with all the other moms? She's like, are you stalking me? Just what moms do. And I go, well, do you know all those moms? I go, you love talking to people. Talk to those moms.
Wear your name tag.
Yeah. And that develops your business. It keeps you engaged with the discussion of real estate. It grows your database. You still haven't had to call anybody and you're happier in the end. Make this business your own.
I love it. Questions for Kyle before we end the recording?
Hi, Melissa. Come on, somebody, give me one question. You tired of me talking already?
What's the one biggest complaint you get with the title company?
What's
the biggest complaint that we get as a title company? Well, I would have to say that the numbers are in. This is what you hear. The numbers are in. Why don't I have my
Yeah, I knew you were going to say.
He just laughed. He's agreeing.
So the numbers are in. That's something that lenders will tell you. And so you're going to be talking to lenders, and the lender's going to say, oh, the numbers are in. Title company has the numbers, so you should be good to go. Well, what the lenders won't tell you is that they just got them to us, and it takes time to sit down with the numbers and put them into the program and get this title commitment and all the closing docs updated. It takes an amount of time. So if I hit send on an email and I'm the lender and you send those numbers to me, I then have to be in a spot where I can then go, oh, hey, I've got nothing I'm doing right now, and I can put them into the file. What are the chances of that? Zero. I'm telling you that right now. The system is full. It's full to the top. There's no time in the day for closings. If they're not in a closing, they are bent over their keyboard, typing furiously in everything they can. So if this is a Friday and you have a closing on a Monday or Tuesday, that closer is pretty much in closings back to back to back to back to back all day long. There is no 5 minutes to update the file. She'll get to that at 5 or 6 p.m. when she's done with her closings. Or, she'll get to it eventually that day because there's so many other fires burning. And most of the time, if a lender is saying that out loud, that person has not had their act together properly.
That's what I was just about
And
to
we
say.
should have had those numbers 3 days ago. So if you ever hear that, and you just call your title company or send an email and say, I hear you have the numbers. I understand. That doesn't mean I'm getting anything right away. When can I expect it? That's working together with your team, right? Setting some expectations for each other.
Bingo.
But yeah, that's the number one thing. Everybody thinks that because some lender sent us some numbers, everything is ready to go. It just doesn't work like that. It never has.
What's the number one thing that we can do to support our closer? What's their pet peeves? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
what are some common, like, there's pet peeves in everything.
There, and the girls ask me to go over this every once in a while, but yeah, there's 2 or 3 things that are very helpful. The first being when you send in a contract, that we have all the contact information for both buyers and sellers, both agents, and if there's a lender at that time, so that we have all of that up front. If you can get us more information like HOA contact information, payoff information, all those things that we're going to need throughout the transaction, the more you commissions. Commissions are a pain. It's not in the contract and it's not written anywhere. So commissions, who's getting what in the deal?
Taking some notes.
Take a note on that. So that's an important thing. That helps the transaction launch on a good foot forward. Next thing is when you ask for something, I get that we're all in a hurry and you want it now and we're really wanting things, but like I said, the system is full. So you're not going to probably get it right away. But if you know and have worked with the same closer for a while, you'll begin to trust that that person's going to fulfill your request, and it's going to be before you really, really, really need it, but it's going to be, on a time in between. So if you were to pick up that phone and call her 5 times, asking, hey, where's this? Where's this? Where's this? Now you're slowing her down from doing the thing that you asked her to do. So one request, a follow-up email, something like that is really good. But to pester your closer is not going to make things happen any faster. And it's not going to be because you're making them mad. It's going to be because they just can't get to it. So respecting both sides of that is pretty big. And then, as I mentioned before, all amend extends. Don't ever think the other person is going to be the one to deliver it to us. I want multiple copies before I want 0. Those are the 3 biggest things right there.
Title company contracts, buyer seller contact info, commissions.
Commissions, HOA information, HOA contact information. If you know any of the utilities. So,
Taking notes intently because I'm probably 95% complete of my 2 documents. I have a buyer, now what? I have a seller, now what? And I want to make sure we got all these notes out to you guys. So I'm really close to having that out, and I needed that little piece there. That's why I said 95%. Cool. Anything else?
that's all I got.
Awesome.
I want an email from everybody, and we're gonna sit down and have coffee sometime. Okay, I can go anywhere. I'm always out on the road. And then,
Thank you.
and if you send me that email, I'll send you my stats piece that went out. It went out Monday, so it's still fresh.
I love getting that. And the lenders, I know Grant Hickman sends those out too. And those are great. Those are value adds for us to send to our clients.
Grant and I have a birthday that's only 2 days apart. We were
Oh,
2 days apart. He's older than I am.
well, duh. We can all tell that. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey,
Thanks, guys.
we're recording. We can't say
I
that.
know. Just kidding, Grant.
Oh, wait, no. Oh, I'm older than him by 2 days. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's hilarious.